It's Friday, October 8th, and this is now on H&N.
And real fast movements like he was on some kind of drug or something.
A suspect is taken into custody after an hours-long investigation involving a disposal truck in Waikiki.
But we continue to make progress.
President Biden again touting the effectiveness of vaccine requirements in light of struggling jobs numbers. I'm Skyler Henry at the White House as some states are already pushing back against federal mandates.
But if you're sitting here, it's an inundation.
The council considers saying "I do" to a wedding and commercial activity ban at Waimanalo Beach Parks. These stories plus will tell you who won the Nobel Peace Prize coming up on This Is Now. Good afternoon. You've got Jonathan and Mark Carpenter in for Ashley today here in the H&N Digital Center. We're going to have a lot more on that bizarre incident that happened in Waikiki this morning in just a little bit. But first, let's get to some coronavirus news first.
Yeah, the latest numbers from the state. 201 new infections reported this morning and 7 deaths. 126 of the cases are on Oahu, and just over 69% of the state's population is fully vaccinated.
All right, Mark, I want to take our viewers live to Washington, D.C., where the sun is starting to set right now. A lot of developments coming out of the nation's capital today. President Biden is pushing businesses to mandate COVID-19 vaccines for about 100 million working Americans or risk fines. Let's turn it over to Skyler Henry now, who has more on this.
President Biden touted vaccination rates while speaking about the latest jobs report.
More than 186 million Americans are now fully vaccinated, and COVID cases are down 40% in the past month.
The president says the Labor Department is working to prepare an emergency rule requiring companies with more than 100 employees to have vaccine or testing mandates.
There's more work to do, including getting more people vaccinated, but we continue to make progress.
At least 24 Republican-controlled states are already preparing legal challenges to the federal mandate, arguing the president is overstepping his authority. President Biden has stressed mandates are crucial to the economy, which struggled to add jobs in September as cases of the Delta variant surged.
Hello, you getting your shot?
Vice President Harris toured a vaccination site in New Jersey Friday, urging more Americans to roll up their sleeves.
The message is this: vaccines will save your life.
Pfizer is inching closer to getting its vaccine authorized for emergency use for children between the ages of 5 to 11. Dr. Ashish Jha discussed a new development on CBS Mornings.
My hope is with that authorization, 5 to 11-year-olds should be able to get vaccinated pretty quickly thereafter.
The FDA has promised to review Pfizer's data quickly and could issue a ruling by the end of the month. Skyler Henry, CBS News, Washington.
After a decline in cases and hospitalizations, Governor Ige is set to loosen restrictions today. We're told this likely means gathering rules will change. The governor is also expected to discuss travel today. This is all going to take place at a 1:30 news conference. We'll bring that to you live on your H&N digital platforms and all your H&N TV stations. And we just got a coronavirus update into our newsroom from Lieutenant Governor Josh Green. Here's what he had to say to our managing editor, Daryl Huff.
What kind of changes do you expect we're going to see, and why is it important that this happen now?
So we're going to see restrictions be pulled back on outdoor gatherings especially. So that's what we're seeing now. We'll see some ability to go to football games, and that means college and high school. It means we're beginning to go back towards normal, not all the way to normal, but towards normal. And it's very important because we have to get back there as Thanksgiving and Christmas come. So the numbers have dropped quite a lot. As you know, the average count is now under 200 a day. The positivity rate's down to 3% again. So that's considered the national kind of green zone. That's good. So we're getting back towards normal. And we will also see increasing gathering sizes that are available for businesses like weddings and first birthdays, conferences, all these things that are important that we begin for our own normalcy, but also people have to schedule these things several months out. And if we don't send the signal to people that they can do that in Hawaii, we'll lose them to the mainland. So these are big decisions for our people and for our economy.
When you talk about losing things to the mainland, what can you be more specific about what that concern is?
Yes, if we don't begin to have a standard that it's okay and safe to be outdoors when you have a vaccinated group of travelers or participants, we'll lose the marathon eventually. We'll lose, like we did the Ironman for a year. And over time, those cities will do all they can to keep those events. So we'll also lose conferences. Each individual event that we postpone for a year has an economic impact on us in Hawaii. But if we lose them for good, like the ophthalmologists or an oncology conference or the big events like, the Honolulu Marathon, I mean, we could just not have a marathon. We lose those things and eventually people move on.
I want to bring Casey Lund into the digital center. You've been covering some developing news all morning long. A man taken into custody after an hours-long investigation in Waikiki. What the heck happened?
Yeah, Jonathan, it was pretty bizarre. And honestly, I'm really relieved, as is HPD and everybody who was down in Waikiki, because, again, it was strange. It was bizarre. This gentleman had apparently stolen a Honolulu disposal service truck and was in the intersection of Kalakaua and Liliuokalani. When we came onto the scene, he was just going back and forth, and it was strange, kind of interesting. People were kind of making jokes at the side, but you got to remember, this guy's behind the wheel of a big pickup truck that could have really hurt a lot of people. We were able to get on scene around 3:30, and that back and forth lasted for 3 hours. I want to share some sound, though. We were able to interview one of the gentlemen that was kind of there when all this has happened, when HPD first made contact with him in Waikiki.
I heard a lot of commotion down the street. It was kind of loud all night as far as that goes, but down the street they were coming, the police, in like a wave, and I thought they were just waking up the homeless, and then I look out front and there's a truck in the intersection, and he's motioning to come here. Me and one of my friends walked up there, and he seemed like he wanted to talk, but very nervous and sweaty and real fast movements, like he was on some kind of drug or something.
And Jonathan, from there, it took a little bit more of a serious turn. So it was just back and forth, reversing, going forward, HPD trying to de-escalate the situation. And then at one point, that gentleman took off. He went down different side streets in Waikiki. As you know, as the morning started to carry on, people started to get more busy. There was more pedestrians. HPD was really trying to keep people away from the scene. He went back and forth down some side streets. And then eventually, it all came to a dramatic end. And we brought you that video at Seaside and Kuhio, where HPD was able to kind of block in that pickup truck, get him out of the vehicle somehow. We weren't there for that, but we were there when they took him out of the HPD cruiser and then eventually strapped him to a stretcher at Honolulu EMS, hopefully taking that man to the hospital, get some help, because I was there since 3 a.m. We were able to look that man in his eyes. We were very close. You could see he was either very heavily intoxicated or very disturbed, one way or the other. It was, strange, but also really scary, especially considering later on in the morning how many people were down there.
And our reporter is now confirming that the suspect was not an employee of the disposal company and that the truck was reported stolen.
Yeah, we reported stolen 733 Bishop, so in Chinatown somehow. And we're going to be learning more about this throughout the day. Of course, we'll have more coming up on our later newscast as well.
All right, Casey Lund, great reporting. Let's toss it over to Guy Hoggy with some developments in your weather.
The winds are going to be strong enough that humidity levels will be low, and that has extended this red flag fire warning for most leeward areas where they have critical fire weather conditions. So be very, very careful and mindful of that as you head out the door. And also there's a wind advisory. This is very concerning because those winds, which could be stronger than 45 miles an hour for those shaded areas, could cause power outages, maybe some downed trees, maybe some property damage, some roof damage, that kind of thing. And this is expected to extend until tomorrow evening. Also until the weekend, through the weekend, that small craft advisory is on for all coastal waters. It's going to be choppy and to a large extent dangerous for most coastal waters. Now, as far as the surf, it's not big yet, but it's going to be on the rise today. National Weather Service says 5 to 7 by tonight, getting even bigger tomorrow. high surf advisories might have to be posted. And then the east side, of course, is bigger and it's choppier because of those strong winds. So very, very windy with that wind advisory today and tomorrow. And then on Sunday, the winds level off, but on Sunday through Tuesday, look for a few more showers as well. Keep it here on Hawaii News Now. We'll have all your severe weather updates.
A proposal to curb gatherings has nothing to do with the pandemic. Some Windward Oahu residents say there are too many beach weddings in Waimanalo. And as Mahealani Richardson reports, a ban is under consideration.
Windward activists say the weddings are almost constant. In fact, we got to Hunananiho or Sherwood's Beach at around noon, and already we see 2 weddings. This one here has about 10 people, and you can see this beautiful flower display in the background. And then way off in the distance is another wedding with about 5 people.
It's a happy couple, complete with their wedding party, officiants, photographers, and a crew to set up flower displays. It's a day about love and matrimony, but some Waimanalo residents call this commercial activity something else.
It breaks my heart that this island is being taken advantage of.
Mia Lisa Otis says she's no wedding crasher, but a protector of the Aina.
Hunananiho is a sacred place. In the late 1960s, they found 92 remains.
How many weddings do you see a day?
In an hour, 3 to 5. In a day, you know, there's happy hour in the morning and there's a happy hour in the afternoon. It's an inundation.
Council Bill 38 would ban commercial activity and recreational stops by tour companies at Waimanalo beaches, including Bellows Field, Hunananiho, Kaiona, and Makapu'u. They're already banned at Kailua and Kalama beaches.
And, and that would be a real shame, for our community to lose that access.
Joseph Esser, president of the Oahu Wedding Association, says with Oahu's ban on large gatherings, the wedding industry has had enough pandemic heartache.
You can't really have indoor weddings at, this time. And, the outdoor places like our public beaches and parks and things, are really, a nice place to be able to celebrate during COVID.
He says there are rogue wedding companies operating without permits who should be stopped, but says most follow the law and would be pushed elsewhere if banned from Waimanalo.
The idea of banning beach weddings on the windward side is just kicking the can down the street to somebody else's neighborhood, and we need to really figure out how to enforce.
The bill passed first reading and is advancing through the subcommittees. Reporting from Waimanalo, Mahealani Richardson, Hawaii News Now.
Turning now to the economy, the country's recovery efforts have stalled. That's according to the latest report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Only 194,000 jobs were added in September, below expectations for the second straight month. One bright spot is unemployment dropped 4%. For a closer look, here's Labor Secretary Marty Walsh.
First of all, this is a complex report. When you take a deep dive into this report, and we did it this morning, you look at areas like hospitality and retail where we gained 74,000 jobs. The expectation was much higher, but when we looked at the reason for that, the Delta variant, the rise in the Delta variant absolutely had an impact in the restaurant, leisure, hospitality area, both as hiring and also in people going out to dinner using that. The other area that I think is kind of baffling to a lot of people is the public sector education realm. I think a lot of us with school opening across this country, most of it in-person learning, lots of people needed to work, teachers' aides and things like that in schools and school bus drivers, and we saw an issue there. So we have to do a little more work in those sectors because we have an ability this next month to change that.
The U.S. Mint has announced the full list of its 5 pioneering American women who will be immortalized on American currency. In the first run of the American Women Quarters program, images of all the women will appear on the backs of select quarters beginning in 2022. They represent a wide array of professions in which women were previously shut out. Sally Ride, an astronaut who was the first American woman in space, and a poet and civil rights activist, Maya Angelou, were selected earlier this year. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen chose the rest of the honorees with input from the public. Asian American actress Anna Mae Wong, Cherokee Nation leader Wilma Mankiller, and politician Nina Otero Warren will join the rest of the list. George Washington's facade will remain on the head side of the coins. The U.S. Mint program will continue until 2025, honoring 5 women with 5 quarters each year. 2 journalists are taking home the Nobel Peace Prize. Let's turn it over to Elizabeth Palmer with more about them.
This is both an unexpected and an exciting win. It says that facts in our age of spin are worth fighting for. Maria Ressa and Dmitry Muratov both battle to tell the truth in authoritarian countries where that's a dangerous thing. Ressa runs Rappler, a hugely popular online news website in the Philippines. It's reported on corruption and extrajudicial killings authorized by President Duterte. Ressa, who incidentally graduated from Princeton, has been harassed, threatened, and arrested for her war on fake news and toxic social media. Dmitry Muratov is editor-in-chief of one of the most respected newspapers in Russia, Novaya Gazeta, which has meticulously reported on corruption and abuse of power. On his watch, 6 Novaya Gazeta journalists have been killed. But on an upbeat footnote, it's nice to remember that back in the early 1990s, when Muratov was broke and setting up Novaya Gazeta, Mikhail Gorbachev, who just won the Nobel himself, donated some of his $1 million prize money to start the paper. Elizabeth Palmer, CBS News, London.
All right, thank you, Elizabeth, for that report. What do you say we talk about what the internet is chatting about today? There's a lot of interesting stories to get to, and I want to start with this. We talk about them a lot. Legos.
I've been looking forward to this story.
And they have a very interesting new setup you can get. And check it out. It's the Titanic. Well, a full replica of the Titanic. Not to scale, of course, but it's a pretty big set you can get here. It's 53 inches with more than 9,000 pieces. That's a lot of Legos to step on in your household there, Mark.
That's right.
It will feature accurate details. And here's the thing, though. I cannot believe the price tag. $630.
We're certainly a long way from Duplo and skyscrapers that you would just put together. But I don't know. It's pretty cool. It's one of those Lego projects that it seems like it would take several weeks, maybe even months to put together.
It takes some time.
But really cool, really creative. And it has all the inner workings, even has the inside room. So a lot of attention to detail. But again, $630, pretty steep.
Yeah, what else you find?
What's also on the feeds right now, Justin Bieber, unique and unexpected collaboration. He released a new music video for his hit song Ghost, and it features a decorated actress and Oscar winner, Diane Keaton.
She's awesome.
She plays Bieber's grandmother, who is grieving the passing of his grandfather. It is streaming throughout social media, so check it out.
And more entertainment news, right? Some changes to the Food Network?
Yeah, Bobby Flay, he's got a lot of fans, the celebrity chef. He may be leaving the Food Network. The restaurateur has been with the company for 27 years, but reports say they are too far apart on financial terms of a new contract. Flay has been with the station since its debut in 1993. So we'll see how this develops.
Yeah, sounds like a job opening there, Mark. I know you're a great chef.
Yeah. Heating up a lot of Hot Pockets and Eggos nowadays.
Ooh, Hot Pockets. Love those. All right. Everyone sort of wondered this. Imagine what would happen if you just let go of one of those giant balloons at the Macy's Day Thanksgiving Parade.
They're enormous.
Yeah. It would be a mess, right? Well, CNN Jeannie Mose, love Jeannie Mose, has a unique experience that unfolded at Albuquerque's Balloon Festival, and here it is.
Humpty Dumpty didn't have a great fall. He had a great flight upside down over Albuquerque, New Mexico. It was the Special Shapes Rodeo at the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta, where an armadillo is named Armadillo, and time really does fly. Every which way you turn, there are balloons.
You need to have a 360 set of eyes in your head today.
Special Shapes Day feels a little like the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade. If all the handlers just let their balloons take off, the fiesta announcers have to keep their lions and their unicorns straight.
There's one of the new unicorns. Is that a new pig shape? Spidey Pig and Pegasus.
Special Shapes Day starts before dawn with the firing up of the balloons they call glow up.
And the sunrise is just killing it,
But you can't start the Special Shapes Rodeo without the national anthem.
Oh, say can you see?
Oh, you can see all right. Motorists can see. One of the few times out of the year when slow traffic isn't a bad thing. And with all those special shapes lurking, dogs barked and someone tweeted, "Felt like something was watching me." From jokers and jesters to a sloth on a stick.
It is just the cutest darn thing.
Everyone had their favorite. Even the sun wore shades. As for the balloon of the day, it was Arabelle who got the honor of first to fly.
O'er the land of the free.
And the home of the flying cow. Jeannie Most, CNN, New York.
All right.
Something that's both cool and terrifying at the same time.
Have you ever done it? I've never been in a hot air balloon.
No. Very hesitant. I don't know.
Yeah.
I have my worries.
I would do it, but it would be a little scary. All right, guys, we got some big news from Tesla. They're moving. Elon Musk says the company's headquarters is heading out of Silicon Valley and headed to Austin, Texas. We could see signs of this developing. You know, he's been having that SpaceX factory there in the Lone Star State. He's also been really critical of California's COVID-19 restrictions.
Yeah, that is an interesting development, though. Having lived in the Bay Area before, you see such a giant footprint that Tesla has in the area. Elon Musk has always been a disruptor. We'll see if this is a sign of other companies leaving Silicon Valley.
There is a lot of tech moving out of San Francisco, especially.
Yeah, the property and the rent and everything, it all plays a role. And speaking of car news, new developments surrounding James Bond's iconic Aston Martin. The DB5 and DB6 models are receiving a $1 million electric upgrade. The company announced a full restoration, and the vehicles will have a range of 255 miles. And, of course, this coincides with the new release of the new James Bond film out today.
And it comes out today. Yeah,
I believe so. Yeah, the weekend plans.
Well, yeah, I saw the premiere happened in the UK. We showed that last week, and it looked amazing.
Yeah,
looked cool,
looking slick.
Yep, you guys, we had a couple of reminders we need to tell you about. First thing, everyone wants to know what Governor Ige has to say today. That's coming up at 1:30. We are going to air that press conference to you live right here on your H&N digital platforms and all your H&N TV stations. That's KGMB, KHNL, and K5. So just look for the push alert on your smartphone if you have the H&N app downloaded. Also, at 12:30, I'm hearing we're going to get some sort of update from HPD. I presume it's about that Waikiki incident that we were talking about a little bit ago. So we're going to try to stream that to you as well on your Facebook live stream. So if you're watching on Facebook, we will end this stream and pop up another one here very shortly. So lots of developments still ongoing today. That's why if you missed any of those press conferences, you're going to want to catch up with Mark Carpenter at 4 on KHNL. You guys, it's Friday. Let's leave you with something pretty. Here's more from that Albuquerque Balloon Festival.